Good day everyone, I am Mark Luiti Tunyakaw and I will talk about the DNA analysis division. But first, let's talk about what is DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid. It is the chemical name for the molecule that carries genetic instructions in all living things. At the same time, contains the instructions needed for an organism to develop, survive, and reproduce. And forensic scientists can use DNA profiles to identify criminals or determine parentage. In addition, every person has a unique DNA profile, making it very useful to identifying people involved in a crime. The only exception to this is identical twins. Next is some additional knowledge about DNA analysis division. The one who conduct DNA analysis in the laboratory are referred by several different titles including Crime Laboratory Analyst, Forensic Examiner, Forensic Scientist, and Forensic Laboratory Analyst. They are responsible for the analysis of the DNA evidence collected from a crime scene. At the same time, utilizes research and scientific innovation in DNA casework. An example of this is Y chromosomal analysis in sexual assault cases. It also includes serological tests which identifies the blood whether human or not. At the same time, if it is male or female in origin. SOCO or Scene of the Crime Operatives. They are the one who determine, preserve, and protect the crime scene. Scene of the crime officer find, record, and recover evidence from a crime scene. At the same time, conduct methodical search of physical evidence. When we say determine and preserve the crime scene, this is where they cordon the area to avoid civilians in destroying the evidences. When we say they record, this means that they took photographs in the crime scene. You may wonder what are the responsibilities of the SOCO. So first is they establish what evidence is required from incident scene and how best to obtain it. They also take, develops, and print photographs of the scene. At the same time, they gather forensic evidence such as sample of blood, hair, footprints, tire marks, and many more using appropriate scientific technique and placing evidence into protective packaging and sending it away for forensic analysis. They also compile written reports at the same time giving and defending evidence in any court of law. For additional knowledge, the scene of the crime operatives must wear a multitude of protective gear to prevent them from contaminating potential forensic evidences and to prevent contact with hazardous substance such as feces, blood, or gunpowder. This will also prevent them from involving themselves as well. There are types of search patterns. First is line or strip method. Best in large outdoor scene. Grid method. Basically a double line search, effective but time consuming. Next is we also have zone method. Most effective in houses or buildings. Teams are assigned small zones for searching. Next is wheel array method. Best on small, circular crime scenes. And lastly, spiral method. May move inward or outward, best used where there are no physical barriers. That would be all. Thank you.
Good day everyone. My name is Parinyas Janay Serjek and I am going to continue our discussion. So for me, I will going to tackle about polygraph division. So first, what is polygraph? A polygraph, popularly referred to as a lie detector test, is a device or procedure that is used by law enforcement to measure and record several physiological indicators such as blood pressure, pulse, respiration, and skin conductivity while a person is asked and answers a series of questions. Polygraph examiners are those who are licensed and highly trained persons to conduct and give lie detector tests to witnesses, suspects, and other individuals involved in criminal trials. So, polygraph primary purpose is to test in security screening is to identify individuals who present serious threats to national security. Then Also, polygraph machine detects lies by looking for signs of these physiological changes. As soon as the examinee tells such as a white lie, it puts a blip on the polygraph machines that serves as a signature of the examinee's lies. But always remember nga ang polygraph testing is dili gyud ingon nga 100% accurate in testing lies, but better than the average person's ability to spot lies. So, mo ni siya sa kilid, no? Kaning mga pin. Muna mo record din na sa polygraph chart while ang polygraph examiner iyang gipangutana ang subject. So, that's for the polygraph division. Then, next, fingerprint identification division. So, fingerprint identification is the method of identification using the impressions made by the minute ridge formations or patterns found on the fingertips. So, note, two persons have exactly the same arrangement of ridge patterns, and the patterns of any one individual remain unchanged throughout life. So, walay person nga the same og fingerprint, so that's why accurate ni siya nga in terms of identifying a known suspect. So, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, recognizes 8 different types of fingerprint patterns, such as radial loop, ulnar loop, double loop, central pocket loop, plain arch, tinted arch, plain whorl, and accidental whorls. So, whorls are usually circular or spiral in shape. So, mo na siya no kanang sa example picture na diha. So, next, in general, the purpose of collecting fingerprints is to identify an individual. These persons may be the suspect, a victim, or a witness. There are 3 types of fingerprint that can be found. That is, first, latent, second, patent, and last is plastic. So, that's all for the fingerprint identification. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to discuss medical legal division. Medical legal division requires independent medical evaluation and expert testimony in order to prove a case. Medical legal officer can be a coroner or medical examiner. Medical legal officer is responsible for leading an investigation to determine the circumstance under which someone died. The following cases fall under the medical legal category, and it is the duty of attending physician to intimate the police. Cases of poisoning, cases of unnatural death, accident case, suspected or evident criminal abortion, cases of burns or trauma, cases of sexual offenses or rape, cases of electrocution, cases sent by the court or brought by the police for medical examination, cases of strangulation, drowning, hanging, and suffocation. The medical legal team at times directly deal with the claimants as they have undergone rigorous training to ensure that they are suitably qualified to act as medical legal experts. Medical legal experts provide fact-based reports on the cause and severity of a person's injuries as well as many injuries may have on their future. And the medical legal death investigation system is responsible for conducting death investigation and certifying the cause and the manner of unnatural and unexplained deaths. So the next one is the physical identification division. The, the physical identification division is comprised of special trained police officer who responds to crime scene in order to forensically process them. So the physical identification division is accomplished of some by using sophisticated equipment and training to find, record, gather, analyze, and evaluate physical evidence. The unit is further trained in packaging, preserving evidence that may be sent to the crime laboratory for scientifically or scientific examination. The unit also includes a scene of a crime officer program in which specially trained officers in the community patrol division process select crime scene and forward to the evidence to headquarters for further evaluation and processing. And when an investigation proceeds through the judicial process, the unit especially trained officer deliver to an expert testimony in court on fingerprint and footwear identification, physical matches, and photography. That's all.
Hello everyone, I am Rafael Barte and I will discuss two sections of the crime laboratory, which are the question document division and the forensic photography division. So the question document division, they study handwriting and typewriting to determine author and authenticity. They also identify who wrote a document and the time a document was written. They also analyze inks and papers as well as copier toners, and they restore documents that are damaged or have faded over time. Moreover, they may also be called upon to determine the absolute or relative age of a document and are confronted with altered, erased, charred, or obliterated writings that must be restored and read if possible. Forensic Photography Division. They capture the visual documentation of different aspects that can be found at a crime scene, and they also capture the documentation of the physical evidence that is either found at a crime or already processed in a laboratory. So, furthermore, the forensic photos can be utilized by law enforcement professionals who will become involved with crime and will be utilized later when the crime case goes to trial. So the judge, jury, attorney, and the witnesses can reuse and utilize forensic photos for lawful evidence or references, and sometimes these forensic photos can be the only way to collect lawful evidences.
Good day, everyone. My name is Patricia Galminyaza, and I'm going to talk about the Chemistry Division and the Firearms Identification Division. So, first is the Chemistry Division. Chemistry Division is one of the oldest and largest sections of a forensic crime lab, and the chemistry department undertakes the demanding task of identifying most any solid or liquid crime investigators ask them to analyze. In chemistry division, they are going to identify poisons in biological materials such as viscera, blood, urine, stomach wash, vomit, and etc. They're also going to have a qualitative analysis of narcotics, psychotropic substances in accordance with the NDPS Act 1985. The NDPS Act, or also known as the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1985. It is an act of the Parliament of India that prohibits a person the production, manufacturing, cultivation, possession, sale, purchasing, transport, storage, and or consumption of any narcotic drug or psychotropic substance. Also, in chemistry division, they're going to analyze a petroleum products and other inflammable substances in arson cases, including dowry debts. These are petroleum products that has been recovered in the crime scene or in the arson cases. They're also going to identify phenolphthalein in trap cases, acids and alkalis analysis, and mixed substances. Next is the Firearms Identification Division. So, the identification of firearms and weapon related evidence has played a critical role in crime investigation throughout the 20th century. Firearms investigations involve the examination of fire bullets to determine what kind of weapon they were fired from. Examinations can eliminate various firearms until a match between bullet and weapon is made. In firearm identification division is they are going to conduct examination of evidence firearms, fired bullets or cartridge cases, shotgun shells, wads, pellets, and related specimens recovered from the crime scene. They also conduct test firing of evidence, firearms of different calibers. Also, they're going to conduct scene of a crime operations and field laboratory work. And lastly, they are going to determine the classification of firearms as to power pursuant to RA 8294 and conducts lectures, briefings, and seminars on firearm identification.